Have you ever needed a way to save time on your project while still keeping high productivity? Then keep watching. Hi, for those who don't know me, my name is Miracle, or as I'm now known as Miracle Indeed. If you guys haven't noticed, I recently changed my name on my YouTube channel, recently as in last night, because I realized one, my title does not show up anywhere and I couldn't even find my own name on YouTube. And two, I thought it would make more sense to call myself Miracle Indeed because it's like, oh my God, it's such a miracle, or this is such a miracle, or something of that nature. And I thought, why not reply with, yes, it's a miracle indeed. So Miracle Indeed is now my new name and is searchable and no one else has it on YouTube. But because this is like a mini rebrand, I am actively trying to rebrand how I do my YouTube channel because I do want to get more viewership. If you haven't noticed, I've been doing a small little series on YouTube called Achieving Success, and it came about because I got a new job and I've been very happy about that, of course. But you guys don't really know what I do in my job, and yet I've always been one to be like, tech job this, tech job that. But do you guys even know what I do? Probably not, right? And on top of that, I do modeling. I do UGC, and I take you behind the scenes on what I do, mainly just in modeling. We're starting 3 brand new series, and it's all under the umbrella of achieving success. But instead of one video talking about modeling my job and UGC, which in my opinion is way too much for one video, we're gonna break it down and make each different section its own video. But for now, have you ever wanted to save time in your project while keeping the same productivity or even increasing it? So welcome to episode 1, where we're talking more about Agile versus Waterfall methodology, where you will understand why a product manager, consultant, or really anyone who works in tech jobs. So let's dive right in. Let's start off with talking about what is a waterfall methodology. It is considered to be a linear project management approach to completing a singular project. There are 5 main categories within goes under when doing a waterfall methodology: requirements, design, implementation, verification, and maintenance. But let's not wrap our head too much around this. Let's break it out with a simple example. Think of baking a cake. When you start off with a cake, you have a recipe you want to follow. Those are your requirements. The design is the ingredient that you're going to use for the cake, but it's also what you want the final cake to look like. Do you want it to be a 3-tiered cake? Do you want it to be a single layer cake? What shape do you want? What design? Is it Spider-Man? Is it SpongeBob? What do you want it to look like? That is all under design. Implementation is the actual building of the cake. You gotta whisk it, bake it, and make sure it looks pretty when you're completely done. Verification, put in the oven, set it to the right timer, take it out. What does it look like? What does it taste like? And how would you rate it? And lastly, maintenance. It's a cake. So if you put it in the fridge and it goes bad after a day, then maybe the cake wasn't what you really wanted to make. But in simplest terms, that is waterfall methodology. You cannot go back and put a secondary ingredient once you put it in the oven. Once it's there, everything is completed. And that is waterfall. The water goes down, you cannot put the water back on the waterfall and have it go back down again. It just doesn't work. Once you're done, you're done. So what makes that different than an agile methodology? An agile methodology is a flexible project management approach where short iterative cycles are considered sprints, which is 1 to 4 weeks within each project, meaning no longer are you being completed at the very end of a project. You now have these simple sprints that are considered to be 1 to 4 weeks. And those 1 to 4 weeks come with a lot of requirements. We saw for the house, that is such a huge project, whether it's 1 floor, 2 floor condo or a flat. They can come with so many requirements, but it can become too much to do and to watch out for like you would with a cake. For sprint planning with a house, you might want to start off with your basement. It is the foundation of the house. You want to make sure everything is fine before you work on any other room. So for a basement, you want to make sure your water heater is okay, your heating is great, the pipes are okay, the walls and the standings of the actual room won't crash if there was a flood, if there was an earthquake, or anything of the sorts. So you want to make sure that room itself is fine. That is your planning. Those are your requirements. You want to do daily stand-ups. You want people who are going to be working on this project with you to make sure they understand the rules of what they're working on and make sure you understand what they're doing and when they're doing it. You don't want to find out your contractor who's supposed to be working on your water heater doesn't show up for 3 months and now you don't have hot water. That's just not okay. So in this specific case, you would talk to them every day to make sure that if anything goes wrong, you know why, you know when it'll be fixed, and how long it'll take for that to be fixed. For development and testing, that is exactly what it says. You want the water heater to be plugged in, you want it to be insulated, you want to wash it in dryer. Those are going to be part of your testing. And then obviously, you want to test it out. Make sure it works before the next step is completed. For the sprint review, this is where you go over the entire basement. Once it's completely done and you have people completely done with their section, the basement, the dryer, washer, water heater, pipes, and even the flooring of the actual basement, you want to go over it and make sure, did they all work? Do they make sure that my bottom floor of my house is okay? Or do I need to go back to them and tell them, hey, something didn't work out? And for the sprint retrospective, this is looking at the overall project of the basement. No longer are we looking at the nitty gritty. We're making sure that what we did for the basement didn't take too long. Did you think it will take 3 weeks, but take 3 months? That's not a good thing. What will you change when you start to work on your bedroom or your kitchen? The kitchen takes a lot of work too. Are you gonna let them take 3 months again? Or what will you change to make sure that no longer is an issue? This is basically the Agile methodology for you in a nutshell. But instead of a house, you're working on a software project, you're working on a construction project, you're working on any project that needs to be done within a certain amount of time that has those criteria. So you might be wondering, why would I want to do Agile versus Waterfall? Waterfall sounds like less time. They could both have a 3-year lifespan, but I am technically doing more in Agile. You have all these meetings, you got to talk to all these people. Why would I want to do that if I can just be in Waterfall and just keep my head down, work on my project, make sure I'm doing my job correctly, and then we'll see how it worked out in the end? Well, here are the 4 reasons why Agile is just better overall. They prioritize individuals and interactions over processings and tools. We all know the software tool Gizmo. We understand that there are certain things that we need to have in order for software to work. But if no one is talking to each other, how is one developer knowing what another developer is doing? And how are we making sure we're not cross-contaminating each other's work until the very end? We wouldn't have this issue if we were doing Agile. We want working software over a comprehensive documentation. Both are important, first and foremost. We want documentation all steps of our way, but we don't want to prioritize paperwork over the actual project our customers and clients ask for. That's a no-brainer. Once the paperwork is fully signed and we have documentation in our hand saying that we got the project, we don't want to keep the customer out of the loop. No one hates talking to a customer and having to explain a million times what we're doing while we're in the midst of our projects. Not me. While you might think it's beneficial for a customer to keep doing their own job, if something goes wrong and it's not your fault or you're currently trying to fix something, they will 100% blame you because they had no idea what you were doing to begin with, and you made it seem like you were too good to be true. You want to respond to change over following such a strict program. We all know requirements will change overall throughout our entire project. Whether something doesn't work overall or a customer changes their mind or a stakeholder says, actually, I don't want that color anymore. I want something different. Those can be infuriating to do, especially when you're used to a rigorous program and you want things in that rigorous format. But unfortunately, that's not how life works, and that's not how your project will always work. But for Agile, it is built in to have changes happening overall because you're talking to the customer. They see firsthand how things are looking, and if it doesn't fit their worldview of the entire project, as long as it doesn't go against the contract, it can be very beneficial because once you know the reasoning and they see how you're doing it, you can respond to the changes in a quick and nice manner that doesn't affect the overall project and might actually be less work for you overall. So while this is all fine and dandy, you want to talk about who's really in charge of having all of this structure with an Agile methodology, right? You might be thinking, oh, the product manager does this and that and all the third, and it's great. You could be potentially correct. But there are a lot of people who are included in the Agile methodology. It's not just the product managers. There are 3 main groups of people who are included in all of it. You have your product owner. They own the requirements of the actual project. They see what needs to be done and they divvy it up against the people who have to complete it. Whether that's your software developers, your other product managers, individual contributors, you name it. Next are the Scrum Masters. They make sure you're doing all this on time and timely fashion, and then you're within the statement of work. They have a lot more in terms of doing meetings, facilitating them, making sure all of these sections of a Scrum Master, making sure all of the sections of a sprint is completed, whether that's the retrospective, the review, or even the daily stand-ups. They facilitate all of them and they make sure you're on topic so you're not rambling about what you had for lunch. And last but not least, you have your cross-functional team. Those are your individual contributors. Anyone who's working on this project, they are included in making sure they know exactly how you're supposed to come through. So if you work for a project and you think this won't affect me, I don't care about the meetings, I don't know how this is unfortunate, but fortunately for you, you get to be a part of it. You get to see firsthand how this works, and you get to understand that, yay, I get to know how a project works from inside out, what everyone's role is. And yes, there are a few more meetings on your calendar now, but overall, it gets your project to not feel so overbearing. Obviously, I didn't go over every little thing of an agile methodology, and I barely went over everything of a waterfall methodology. But this is just really what I'm doing as a product manager in my own company, and this is what I'm learning about as a consultant. So really, anyone is being taught this in tech, medicine, and even in your course studies when you're going to college. So here are some popular free courses that I'm putting on the screen right now, where you can learn so much more about this, put in your resume, be seen as such a great person to have a product managing job without even having a lot of experience. And I'll even link it in the description below so you even know more about where you can get more information. And maybe if you want to go for a certification, you can even put that on your resume, LinkedIn, or wherever you want to put it for your own success in life. So thank you guys for watching. That's all I can say on this one topic, but do not worry. There will be more coming up. I have a lot of things planned. And don't forget, there will be more vlogs. There will be more sit-down videos, but they'll all be made with intention this time around. So remember to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss a new update from moi. And I will see you guys next time.